Hey guys, it's Liz from Blue and Hazel and welcome to my homeschool channel. If you are new here, I am glad that you found this video and I would love for you to stick around and subscribe for more homeschool videos. Today I want to share what we've been using for our creative writing curriculum. It's by Brave Writer and it's called Partnership Writing. We used it with my second and third graders this year and I'm going to keep using it for third and fourth grade because we just didn't make it through all the projects. And so in this video, I want to show you what the 10 projects are, how the book kind of works, and give you some examples of the projects that we've finished. This particular writing program has been really helpful for us in giving my kids a reason to write. Once we got the mechanics of handwriting down, we've just needed something to help teach me how to get the kids to start writing. And these projects in here, some of them are really short, some of them are longer, some of them are like really involved and others not so much. And so, just give yourself freedom to not do some of the projects that you don't like or that your kids don't like and do the ones that you enjoy. We did 4 of the projects in here, which I will show you in a minute, and we'll just continue on with those. So in addition to this year for creative writing, the other thing that we've added in that's not in here is just in our personal life, we've added in pen pals, and that has been game changer for my kids having a reason to write. So this combined with pen pals, I feel like their writing has gone up so much this year, and they have both shown an ability to put what's in their heads onto paper. And then we started some of the suggestions in partnership writing, which I'll show you in a minute. Just like as part of our homeschool lifestyle, and that's really helped with other areas of writing. So one example of that would be Free Write Friday we started this year, and that's like 10 minutes of free writing in a journal, no spelling, no nothing from me, just like get your ideas onto paper, and sometimes we'll use a prompt, other times they'll just write for fun. But that's a suggestion in the Brave Writer lifestyle, also a suggestion in partnership writing for this stage. It says ages 9 to 10, but do know this is so flexible. Like, you can make this project work with littler kids by writing some of their ideas down for them. And then you can make this work for older kids by having them just write more. I thought we would really enjoy partnership writing, which we did, but I thought we would like it because we did enjoy the Jot It Down program, and they're really similar. Jot It Down has 10 projects for younger kiddos, and you are jotting down more of their ideas for them onto paper. My kids were kind of almost in between the two when we started, and so we used Jot It Down when they were in first and second grade, and they were actually able to do a little bit more of the handwriting than I thought they were gonna do. I did anything if it was really long, I would write down their ideas for them, but I thought, I think they're ready for partnership writing, so we just bumped up and got that this year. And there's definitely more handwriting that they're doing in the partnership phase. And they're also learning in this phase that they weren't learning in Jot It Down, which is like gathering data, organizing data, making it, putting that onto paper so it makes sense. They're learning how to even like do some revising. It's not necessarily like a focus on story writing. You're not gonna get like, this is how to write a story format. Like, here's your intro, here's your middle, here's the end. Do you have all these components? Okay, go. Like, you will not find that in partnership writing. So I don't know if it would be for everybody just because it is a little bit open-ended. So you're not gonna have someone tell you, this is what you need to do today, this is what you need to do tomorrow. But you will have 10 projects and each are divided into a month. You can do them in any order, so there's no worry if you wanna, jumble them up. And then it's divided those 10 projects into 4-week kind of suggested things that you should do in those 4 weeks. Now, before we get into the projects, I want to quick just show you like some of the lifestyle things that Julie suggests adding at this phase of writing. They're actually things that are more like developing language and oral language skills that translate over to writing. She talks about recitation. She's talking about picking something to recite, copying it by hand, practicing memorizing it, then practicing reciting it from memory. She's got some other things that you can practice in your homeschool added in here too. One of them is oral narrations. We do oral narrations in our family, not during writing time. We actually have adopted that into our other school subjects. And so for instance, when we are reading our history, I will pause between paragraphs and the kids will, I'll ask the kids to kind of help like retell what we've just learned about. And so they're learning to order their thoughts, you know, first this happened, then this happened, next this happened. They're, you know, doing that in order, which is going to help them translate later on when they're writing and they're trying to make sense of their thoughts in order. Okay, so as far as the writing goes, as the parent, she has help in here, just some description of like how to help you help your kids. One of the things that she says is really helpful is to model handwriting to your kids. Like, let them see you have a reason to write, you know, not that you have to do every one of these projects with them alongside of them, but that you would also just show them in your life, in your lifestyle, that you have a reason to also write. Another thing that she talks about is just helping your child get their handwriting onto paper and their ideas onto paper by helping them remember their ideas. She calls it being a clipboard. And, you know, they might tell you something that they're thinking about writing about, but then they forget those exact words to write down on paper. And so she's just like teaching you how to coach them, like, oh, okay, so you just said, let's say that again. The first sentence you said like this. And then, you know, you can help remind them of their own words while they're writing it down on paper. And so these are little tools that I would have no idea about without partnership writing. So she's really helping coach you as the parent how to help them at this stage when their handwriting has caught up a lot more than in the jot it down phase when they have all these ideas but no handwriting skills. And in this phase, it's like they're catching up, but they're not writing necessarily as fast as they're thinking still. She also encourages free writing, which I mentioned we adopted on Fridays, getting them past the like feeling of I'm stuck, I don't know what to write about, and getting them to put creative ideas in their head onto paper with no rules attached, like no criticism attached, no way to do it wrong, just this time is for you to learn to write. And so we've started doing that, and it's been really cool to see my kids push past the like, is it spelled right? Or how do you spell this? And during free write time, I have learned from Julie that it's okay to not step in during free write time and to say, this is the time when you can spell it how you think it's spelled. And if later on you want to go back through your free write and pick out, you know, one that you want to edit, then we can do that and we can fix all of the things that are wrong with it, all the spelling that's wrong with it. But this is your time to just write and learn to try to spell things however you think they might be spelled. And so it's really pushed them to be independent. And now let's go ahead and dive into the projects. Like I said, there are 10 of them, and we have done, I would say, 4.5. That one that didn't quite make it for us got tossed out. So here's a picture of the projects that you will see. You can do them in any order that you want, which is really nice. I would definitely start with the secret codes. It's the first one here, and it is awesome. It is easy, doesn't require a lot of handwriting, but it's really captivating and fun. She has 4 different week-long projects that you'll do. And one of them is going to be like a pictocode one like this, where they're basically making pictures to replace the words, and then they're making a key, and you have to be able to read their letter that they're writing using their picture codes. Here's an example of what that's looked like for us, and it's a little light because it's in pencil, but you can see some of the words have been replaced with pictures. Same here, we have another example of the pictures being replaced with some words, and you could do more of those. You could have, you know, older kids write longer versions of that. You could make the symbols harder. Like, you could do a lot of spin-offs on that one. The next one that she has, it's really fun. We did this one, and I'm sorry I don't have it to show you because I'm pretty sure this was a pen pal letter that we wrote and sent off. But you have this alphabet that is written like A to Z, and then the code is where you jumble up the alphabet letters right underneath it. And so instead of writing an H for happy, you would come over here to this H and you would use the jumbled up one right underneath it, which is S. So then the A, instead of writing an A, you do the letter right underneath it, which here says Z. So this actually is coded for the word happy. And you need this right here to be able to unscramble the words. And the third week was really fun. We made invisible ink, and I have a video I'll put in the description on how we made invisible ink with lemon juice. It was so fun. And you know, the kids got to make this invisible message that basically they hand wrote with a toothpick and lemon juice. And then when you put heat over the top of it, so like an iron, or we used my hair straightener, then the message pops up. So literally you can't see it, and then after the heat touches it, the message appears. So that's another one of the codes is this one here. And you basically decide that what you want to write, and you write it out. The letter that you write in place of it is going to have the red lines attached to it. So for instance, I in I love you is going to be written like this, up and over, because the letter I down here is in the box that goes up and over, if that makes sense. So you're really just writing whatever the red lines are that are around that letter. And so this is my kiddo's one that he did here. And he wrote, I have won 9 croquet games. And so that was his secret message. And then we used this to decode it. I think he had his dad do it when he got home from work. There is a personal timeline project. We did not do that one, so I'm not going to go over that in detail. But basically, it's a mini scrapbook where you're going to encourage your kids to gather a bunch of information. It's going to be very parent intensive if you do this one, which is why I haven't yet. And you'll have to gather photos and get prints of photos from different stages in their life. And so maybe you pick 10 or 20 events of their life, you know, from birth till now, and they will be organizing those. They'll be putting them on a timeline and labeling what happened in the pictures or what was going on. And the next project we did do is really fun. It's a homophone mini book. This is one of the 2 that we made. I don't have my daughters in front of me, but cut out little tiny booklets, stapled it together, and they went through, and I Googled like a list of homophones, and they could pick their top favorites, and they went into this little mini book with picture of what it is. So flew and flew, pale and pale, ant, berry and berry, sail and sail, ball and ball. You could, you know, jazz this up by having your kids write descriptions or definitions of each of those too. If you wanted them to do more handwriting, you could make a bigger book with descriptions, or you could make a bigger book with definitions in there. Then we had a project called the 5 W's. We were learning about researching something, a topic of interest, and then trying to identify the who, what, when, where, and why of that project, and kind of make a 1-page report on it. Julie's example of what her kiddo did looked like this. So really simple, not a ton of handwriting, and ours looks different than that. We chose birds, and I wanted to combine this with nature study since we were, you know, we're going to do nature study anyways. I thought let's just learn something that kind of counts for both. So we picked birds, and each of the kids got to pick a bird that they liked. And here's their final projects. So what we ended up doing over the course of doing this, which it did not take the full month for us to do this, was we got books, and I made photocopies of their bird information. We went through those photocopies, and we had, I think, 2 other bird books that we did the same thing on, because there's not a ton of information in this book on each bird. And then they went through with 5 different colored pencil colors. So one color was who, one color was what, when, where, and why. So they went and took some index cards and wrote down who, what, when, where, why, and wrote their facts on those index cards, and then we narrowed it down to what they thought would make sense to go onto here. For what, his fact that he decided to write was, crows can use tools because they are very intelligent. And so for us, we could have made this longer, and I could have made them write more, but I was really proud of them for just sorting through information. And the next one that we did do was called the Imaginary Island Chain. And this is a fun one. Some people extend this project like for months and months because it literally it could involve so much writing and so much detail that if your kid's into it, like, run with it. My son is wanting to continue on with this one. He does not want to end with this. He's really had fun with it. My daughter, she's kind of over it, so I think she can be done. But they're learning some geography facts and terminology, I guess you could say. And they're creating their own imaginary island or, country or whatever you want. And so we chose to do the islands, and I'll show you what my kiddos did. My kindergartner did this version, which was just one day done. He loved coloring and being done with that. And he got to describe what was happening in his island. And what I should have done, and I didn't do, and I regret this, is I should have written down his descriptions for him, which is the whole idea of the jot it down phase that he is technically a part of being younger, where he can't handwrite. So I should have written his ideas down for him, but I didn't. I missed that. And then my daughter, hers, the Clarence Islands, she named them. She did a flag. She's got some details on here with a key to show you what's on her islands. And she has done a little bit of free write, where during our free writes, she's shared a little bit more about her islands. So for example, this is just one page I'll share with you. She says, my islands are sandy. My islands' names are the Clarence Islands. One of the islands has a lake. 2 of the islands have houses. 1 of the islands has a road. 2 of the islands have a highway. That's one way that you can really expand this in a writing project, is to get them going on details about their islands. And then my 3rd grader, this is his one that he did called the Mystery Islands. And he is my detailed guy. He went to town and wants to keep doing this. He's got a lot of things in his key labeled and on the map labeled. And here is an example of his writing during free write. My islands are a mix of forests, villages, beaches, caves, and more. There's an active volcano and a number of small rocky islands near the volcano. They are called the Deserted Islands. And if you get there, you will find that the name perfectly suits them. Anyways, let's move on to some, and then he hasn't finished that quite yet. So then another one of the projects we haven't done yet, but we are just starting kind of to read about, it's the Greek myth or the Tall Tale Project. So they had one a little bit like this in Jot It Down called the Fairy Tale Project. And this particular one is the Greek Myth Project. So for this particular one, I bought this book on Amazon. It's a thick book on a lot of the crazy Greek myths that are just wild stories and really fun. So we are reading through that right now. I'm going to have them pick one that they want to use for this project later on. And Julie is teaching you how to make a lap book in here, which is like a folder with information on the Greek myth and cutouts of things that maybe are important about the story. And I've never made a lap book before, so for me this is like something we are going to learn how to do together. Here's just an example. She gives you lots of pictures and examples. And I love the handwriting samples too, because I'm like, okay, good. Like, when you see other kids are writing about the same amount as your kids, or, it's not perfect handwriting, you're like, okay, good, we're all right. So I'll probably do a follow-up video next year on some of these projects that we haven't done yet, just so you can see examples of them. And then there is a month of days project we haven't done, and that is like your kids are going to be keeping track of something over the course of a month that they do every day. So her example in here is like keeping track of like when you eat dinner each night, and then you're like creating this data basically and finding a way to display this data. The next project that is in here that we tried and was a fail, which I wish it would have worked because it looks so fun. It's making a mail order catalog. So you create a catalog with a theme, and we chose backpacking and camping as our theme. And for whatever reason, we got through like 3 or 4 pictures with descriptions, and my kids just fizzled out. They just did not want to do anymore. So instead of fighting it, I was like, whatever, let's move on. As long as we're doing some kind of writing, then who cares if it's like, the project, if that makes sense. So we ditched it, but here's an example of one of the catalog pieces that we were starting. So it's a deluxe fire starting kit. We've got a picture of it. Hottest burning fires in the country, lightweight and easy to use with long-lasting spark or warning. If not used correctly, forest fires may occur when camping. And then here is something else that he was writing for another catalog entry. So each of my kids was going to basically add entries, and we were going to staple them together and be like a catalog booklet. And I don't know, it just didn't work out. But there is another project called 9 Steps to Competence, and we have not done that one, so I really can't speak to it at all. I think it's like getting them to write down the process of doing something. Think of like making a recipe and writing out a recipe, that type of a thing. She has some other ideas like process for planting seeds, process for tying your shoes, process for playing a card game. So getting them to think of like what needs to be said for a second and third, things like that. So project 10, we have written narrations, and I have not done this one. I don't think I can speak to this yet because it is pretty like involved and has a lot of processes that it's teaching you, different types of narration and examples in that, and there's going to be a lot that we will be learning in this project that I can't speak to yet. So I'm just gonna pass on that. I hope that gives you a better idea on some of just what it looks like to actually use partnership writing, because I know sometimes it's like you buy a curriculum and you're like, I'm supposed to do what? And you're wondering like, what are other families doing who are using this? Not that you have to do it the same way, just it's nice to have like a visual, for me at least. And that's why I do appreciate all of the photos that she puts in there, because I don't have anyone else telling me what they've done for this particular curriculum. So I'm really heavily relying on her photos in there for just help for me. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to ask any questions that you might have if I didn't clarify something well. Also, I would love to know if you have anything that you have used in getting your kids to have a reason to write. Please share. I love all of the tips and tricks. Like I said, partnership writing has been a great jumping off point for us. And the next most powerful thing, if not the most powerful thing for us this year, has been letter writing to pen pals. That has just taken my kids from not writing very much on their own to having a reason and desiring to write, oftentimes without me asking them to. So we'll continue with copywork. We get that copywork in our Brave Writer darts and arrows, and then my son and daughter in their 3rd and 4th grade year will both be doing all about spelling. And I think that as they are reading more and learning how to spell more, that the writing process is naturally going to get easier for them, because they won't have to think quite so hard about how to write or how to spell. It will just go from their brain to the paper a little smoother. I will leave some links to my other Brave Writer videos below too if you are interested in watching those.